What do you say?
See, I thought I was on time.
Yeah, I was late because you're Lakewood place. You can't get a fine place to park.
Oh, you're here?
I'm in Lakewood, yes. Just arrived a few minutes ago.
Okay.
Sorry I'm late. Running in between weddings over here. Okay, we ready for some Yoma? Yosef, welcome.
Tiago, we got to stick a quick introduction on Yoma.
Yeah, the art scroll introduction is you got to open around 35 pages just to get to the first daf. It makes you feel good that you're halfway done between whoever donated it.
Yeah. Right now there's not much of Akdama. I have to say that the beginning of Yuma, the first Amud is Geschmack. The next two blot are very much like Shkolim. I shouldn't start off like that because we're gonna lose the island. But right now at this point there's not much Hakdama other than that most of Yuma to discuss is what the kohen gadol does. The real halacha l'maisa of Yuma that's negaya to us doesn't come in till the 8th parak, till the end. Otherwise it's going to go through the whole the first 7 program pretty much goes through more things from the Beis Hamikdash, which is why I think, the question is, why is Yuma coming right now? It should go in the order of the Yom Tovim.
Right, Rosh, yeah.
Right? It should be Rosh Hashanah or Pesachim.
Pesachim
it started, right? So what we skip? So Shavuos, the Shaila is there's no Masech to Shavuos. So it's Chagiga, maybe Chagiga, right? Then it should go to Rosh Hashanah. So it skips to Yuma. I don't know. Did anybody see a Pshat? Anybody hear a Pshat?
From Shiakov, but in my Shas Gemara, or my big Gemara,
you have Rosh Hashanah Yuma.
It's Rosh Hashanah Yuma Sukkah. That's how it goes.
It's interesting. I think some of my Shas, one of my Shas also has that. I think the pshat is maybe because Shkolim and Yuma, not to scare anybody off, but they're similar. Meaning it's a lot about the Beis Hamikdash and how things worked. So Mamela, we put them together. That's the only thing I could really think. Otherwise, you have the big kasha that everybody asks, how come Rosh Hashanah comes before Yom Kippur? Shouldn't you do tshuva first and then daven for good? So that's what all the, that's what a lot of Mefarshim discuss. So here, the Yuma is actually coming first, right? It's like that. It's like that question. Okay, whatever it is, but it comes out as a lot of what went on the Beis Hamikdash is the first 7 prokim, and then last parak gets into the halacha l'maisa of who's allowed to break the fast and all that. Okay, so tonight's daf is pretty easy. Can't say that about tomorrow night. Tomorrow it's not hard. It's just psukim. See, the thing with kodshim is that a lot of things is psukim. So the Gemara asks kashas, well, why not learn it this way? Why not learn it that way? It's a lot of drushes, which are sometimes hard to understand why the Gemara chooses to darshan it one way and not another way. Okay, so let's see. So Zog the Mishna. Yashivas Yom Kippurim. 7 days before Yom Kippur, we separate the kohen gadol from his house, the lishkas parhedron, to the lishka of the parhedron. Right, meaning there were lots of different rooms. In the article introduction, they have the chart. We'll need it at some point, but there's a lot of different rooms in the Beis Hamikdash. One of them is called the lishka of the parhedron. So he had to go into confinement, right, from a week before, right? Because we wanted to make sure that we'll see Vaitim Gemara that they wanted to make sure it doesn't become tummy. So he separated for a week. And when masakin him, meaning they appoint or whatever, they put an assistant kohen gadol in case chas v'shalom something happens to him, right? Meaning if he becomes puzzle, if he becomes tummy, right, then they'll have another backup kohen gadol. Meaning, so there's a backup kohen gadol who also goes into confinement for the week before Yom Kippur. So she'im yerabai psul, because if psul is going to happen to the kohen gadol, at least they'll have another kohen gadol to fall back on. Af isha acheres maskina loy. We even appoint him another wife, Shema Thomas Ishtai, because maybe his wife will die. He has to do a kapara on Yom Kippur for himself and for his house. And basically, Zu Ishtai in a house means his wife. So therefore, the kohen has to be married. He can't be single because he has to have a bias. So Mamela, he has to, and we're a choshed that maybe his wife dies. Amrullah said, Chacham said back to him, Im kain ein l'davar saif. If that's the case, then there's no end to it. Maybe the second wife will die, so maybe they should appoint a third wife, a fourth wife, a fifth wife, right?
So then what? Where do you draw the line? I'm saying they're also being chayish for something that's not necessarily shaykh. You know, if somebody's healthy, it's not likely he's going to die. So where do you draw the line?
What do you mean? So, like you're saying, that's the Chachamim's time, right? Where do you draw the line?
Right. So, but why are they even starting out with saying that we should get another kohen? Is it likely that the kohen is going to be puzzle?
So that's what you have to learn. Meaning, how come here the Chachamim? What Akiva is asking is, how come here the Chachamim are not concerned that the wife will die, right? But they make you they make you appoint another kohen gadol. Why don't you say, well, are we concerned or are we not concerned, right? If you're concerned, you should be concerned and appoint more wives.
But the lashon is shemeir by psul. That's a different.
Even
lashon.
So,
right? So very good.
Even so, we're worried about that for sure. Like, does that happen often with the kohen gadol? I'm saying
it's more. It
right.
seems like that would be more than likely than the kohen gadol's wife dying. That's what.
Right, that's what comes out. That there's more of a chashash. A psul is much more common than a death. That's
is it talking about shechva zera? What are they talking about?
That's one of the psulim. Yeah, that's one of them. Yeah, one of the psulim was that.
I think having two wives would be enough of an enoy. That would be too much.
That could be that. So you mean say there's a kapara already before?
Yeah, enough.
Okay, but okay, we'll see in the Gemara exactly how you appoint the wife too, because how do you appoint the second wife if you're already? I mean, you get married twice. What's with the kedushin? What's with the gittin? What do you say?
Was this before we were misakin not more than one wife? Like, why couldn't he marry three women?
Yeah, no, this is way before. This is way before that.
So why didn't he just marry three of them? What do you have to appoint one for? He's married to three different women. One dies, he's got another one.
he's got enough to worry about as a kohen gadol.
Right. You want him to stay somewhat sane.
That's what I would think. I think it's the same thing.
No, but that's what it is. You do marry. You give him another wife. That's exactly what you do. Right? So yeah, so anyway, so that's the machlokes.
I think they're asking, it says maskinen, not they marry him. It says they prepare for him another wife.
Yeah, but if he's in confinement and then she dies, he can't come out of confinement to get married. No? I think so. We'll have to see.
You could send a shliach. You could send this. Oh, you're saying?
Yeah, I guess you could get. Yeah, that's true. You could get married out to shliach. You could get married. We'll see. These are going to be Gemaras later on. I think with Daf Yomi Yoma. Anyway, so that's what it is. The main part of the mission is that they had to separate the kohen to try and limit his contact with people al psul, and also carry shechva zera, meaning if he doesn't see people, so there's less, and if he eat him, they give him less food, etc., etc. We'll see as the Masechta goes along exactly what he did. Okay, so Zog the Gemara Tanan Hasam Shivas Yamim Kodim Sreifas Hapara. So there was another time that they put a kohen in confinement, and that's when they did the Parah Adumah. So when they had to burn it, so whichever kohen was going to be in charge of taking the blood from the Parah Adumah and sprinkling it. So not the sprinkling on the people that were Tamei Mace. The Parah Adumah, they shechted the Parah Adumah, and then some of the blood was sprinkled towards the base of Mikdash. So whichever kohen was in charge of doing that also had to go into confinement for 7 days before they burned it. So Hayu Mafrishin, Hakayin Asarif is part of base. Like 7 days before they would separate him, Lishka Sha'al Pnei Habira, to the room that was that's next to or in front of the Birah. We'll see the Gemara is going to ask on the bottom of what the Birah is. So find the Mizracha on the northeast side of the room was on the northeast side of the Beis Hamikdash.
Yeah.
is someone who's a sheikhet, do they become tamei by shchita, or is that only by Parah Adumah?
No, I don't think they, because funny, somebody asked that to me yesterday. How do you shecht an animal and not, if a nevela is treif, if a nevela makes tummy, so how do you shecht an animal? Right? No, I think only here, as far as they know.
Okay.
Right? Okay, so the Lishka's Beis Ha'evan Hoisen Nikres, it was called the Lishka of stones. But Lomer Nikra Shema Lishka's Beis Ha'evan. So why was it called the room for stones? Shekol Maseh B'kli Glalim, B'kli Avanim, B'kli Adama. All its meisim were with, these are all types of earthenware, right? These things don't become tummy. Right? My time, what's the reason? Why they only use these? They didn't use metal. Kiva the tvul yaim kosher b'parah. Since somebody who toiveled during the day, it was kosher to be to bring the parah, meaning a tvul yaim, which we had many times, but let's just make sure we have it. So somebody who becomes tamei and he toivels during the day. Tefillah back then was during the day. There was no tefillah at night. Really, it's the same thing with women. Really should be toivel during the day. So tefillah really should be during the day, but you need to wait till the night in order to become tar. So it's really, you're like in quasi tamei situation. So, but a tvul yaim by parah, based on the psukim, the Chachamim said that the tvul yaim is allowed to do the parah. We're going to see in a minute that the apikarsim, did I freeze? Am I good?
You're good.
Okay.
You're good.
Okay.
You're good.
Okay, sorry. So the apikarsim would said that it can't be a tvul yaim. It has to be somebody fully tar. So whatever it is, so since a tvul yaim was kosher b'parah, the tanan b'tamin hayu hakayin aserv as a parah, they actually would make the kohen who was burning the parah tamei, umatvilan oisai, and then they would toivel him lahaitzi miliban shel tzedukim in order to go away literally from the hearts of the tzedukim. Shahayu ayrim, they said b'meruvei shemesh nasis, and it had to be somebody who has Herav Shemesh, meaning who toivel during the day and already went to the night. So meaning the Apikarsim learned, the Tzedukim learned different than the Chachamim. The Chachamim said it could be somebody who toivel during the day, even though he's not fully tar. And the Tzedukim said not. So therefore, in order to Chachamim to show that we're not doing like the Tzedukim, they dafka made the kohen tamei, and he toiveled, and that's the kohen that they used. All in order to be Haitzi Milivan Shal Tzedukim, right?
Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny that they're using like kli that's made out of like the kalim that are made out of glalim?
Dung.
Right.
Yeah, made out of dung. I mean, don't we say in the parsha of the Ketores that we don't want to use the meraglayim?
Right. So it's right. So the thing is, you're right, but this the parah is not it's not really a carbon. We had that at the end of Shkolim. It's not a carbon. So it doesn't have, even though it has a obviously a big.
It's an avodah.
It's an avodah, but it's not a carbon. So I don't know if that's the teretz, but that's what I would say.
The Gillian Ashas brings the Rashi in Shabbos teaches glalim as shayish.
Yeah. So what does that mean?
Marble.
I know what I'm saying. Does that he really mean it's marble?
Looks like it. It looks like that's what the Kiva just asked was his kasha.
I remember in Shabbos we discussed it. In Shabbos I remember discussing it. Yeah, I hear.
I mean, it's
okay.
Kasha because the Kli Glalim originally were brought by the Beis Ha'avanim, Beis Ha'evan. Mishna's Beis Ha'evan was Kli Glalim.
Right.
How can you bring it into the Beis Hamikdash?
Gershon, he brings down a Rashi that doesn't say that way. It's really takadung. He brings down two different Rashis that touch it differently.
Right. Yeah, it's Tzviya Bakr. And then he says, Amud b'Shabbos. It looks like here he wants to learn the Kli Glalim is Shayish. Over here.
Right. I hear. Anyway, so so why were they using Kli? Why were they using Kalim that were Makabal Thomas? Show you. I remember Marave Shemesh Hoisen Nasis. Right, the Apikarsim said it has to be with somebody who toiveled and waited for Herav Shemesh for the evening. So the Kinul Rabbana Kli Glalim Kli Avanim Kli Adama. They said that they should use utensils that won't become tummy, so that people won't be mezalzel. They won't treat it properly, meaning people are going to think, oh, this guy's really tummy. He has to wait till the night, right? So then people might end up not taking care of the parah and the afer parah, et cetera, and make it tummy. So therefore, they use dafka utensils that wouldn't become tummy. Again, so basically what's going on is that they specifically used a kohen who's tummy, and they toiveled him, and they waited, and they dafka used him even though it wasn't nightfall. But because of that, people might not understand that and think that you're going to use things that are tummy. Right? They might end up making this thing tummy because they're going to think in their head, this guy's really tummy. And so therefore they used kalim that wouldn't become tummy.
Is it?
Yeah.
A kohen is not allowed to make himself tummy. No, it's an issa. Isn't it? It's a deraisa.
Yes. Oh, so excellent. So Tosfos asked, what kind of tumah did they make this guy? Did they make him a tumah deraisa? Right? Where's the Tosfos? I think it's a Tosfos, right? Right. So Tosfos, the third Tosfos down, says, La betuma deraisa metamule. Right? Whatever it is, the Tosfos says that it wasn't, they didn't make him a tumah deraisa. They wouldn't do that. They made him just into a tumah derabanan. Okay, so that's basically the Gemara. Obviously, the practical, to take something practical out of this is what's the story with toiveling China, right? China and earthenware. A lot of people ask about a pizza stone. So a pizza stone does not need tefillah. It's a stone, right? Stone doesn't need tefillah. It can't be makabel tumah, right? So China is the big issue because it's glazed. So the question is the glaze? Do you go with the glaze or do you go with the China, right? Okay, but that's that practical part. Okay, but I think about Mishna to find him Mizracha. Why specifically in the northeast? So when answers kiva the chatas, since it's a chatas, right? Akiva, that doesn't mean it's a chatas, means it's called a chatas. The chatas to una tzafaina, and the chatas we learned in the shkolim. The chatas is always done to the north, right? To the north of the Beis Hamikdash, uksivba el noichach pnei ayel mayed, and it should be done towards. Right, they sprinkle the blood of the parah towards oil mayid. So tekinu l'rabbanan l'lishkat tzafayna mizracha. So that's why they were masakin that it should be in the northeast. So that it should be a hecker that they know exactly which part of the Beis Hamikdash they're gonna throw the blood of the parah. It's very interesting because you think the kohen gadol, he's got a week preparation. He would know exactly where in the Beis Hamikdash he's gonna do it, right? But no, we have to still remind him. We have to put a reminder there that he quarantines, I guess, in Yom Kippur, right? He quarantines for that week in the northeast part because that's the part of the Beis Hamikdash that he's going to be working with, to remind him, right? Okay, it's interesting. My Birah.
What's the difference between a chatas and calling a chatas? You just made this difference of the Parah Adumah being called a chatas, but it's not really a chatas.
Yeah, because it's not a carbon. It's not a carbon. It's just called a chatas. It's not a carbon. They're not makriv it on the mizbeach. They burn it, and they use the ashes and they mix it with the water. So it's not. I'm just saying it's not a chatas. It's not a water called mechatas. It's called a chatas. What?
The water is called mechatas.
Right. The main need the chatas. It's a chatas. Right. So that's the combination is a chatas. It's called a chatas, but it's not a carbon chatas. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. So my Birah,
is the Akira here for the kohen gadol, or for the kalim that are used for the Parah Adumah? I mean, technically, we're talking about how many. We just had the Gemara in Shkalim. How many Parah Adumahs were brought over the course of 2 Batei Mikdash? 7.
Right. I think they said 8. I thought it was 8.
8. Okay. 8. So that's one every, I don't know.
Right.
Every 100 years there's another Parah Adumah.
Right. So
that's
I don't know. I don't know. It's a strange thing.
No, it seems like it was the importance of the Parah Adumah. That's why.
But true, but so what? But why do you need it? You mean because they did it
every years? Should have the kivas for the Parah Adumah, not just for the kohen gadol.
Yeah, but they must have learned the halacha before.
Yeah, the kohen gadol knew, but this was so throughout the years that the Beis Hamikdash Batei Mikdash were around for. Everyone should know about the Parah
Why is
Adumah,
that going to
not just the
remind
kohen
anybody?
gadol.
Why is that going to remind anybody?
Because that room is the Parah Adumah room.
I can't, but it wasn't called that. It wasn't called the Parah Adumah room. Be one thing if they
called
called it
Lishkas
that.
Beis
But they didn't call
Ha'evan.
it that.
Specifically,
Correct, but
because
that's
those
only
were
because
the
the
kalim.
utensils were used with stone. Right.
But they
Yeah.
weren't used
All
for
right,
anything in
let's
the
see
Beis
about it.
Hamikdash. They could only be used for
Right.
that.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. I hear that. I hear. Okay, so let's see about it. My Birah. What does it mean, Birah? There was a place in Harabais and its name was Birah. So that's why they called it Birah. The whole Beis Hamikdash was called Birah. Shenemar Habira Asher Hachinoisi. Right? It's the Birah that that I prepared. Right? I mean, Birah usually is used as a term for something Shushan Habira. Right? It's used as something chashuv. Right? That's what Birah comes from. Okay, Minani Mili. So how do we know that the kohen gets quarantined for 7 days for the Parah Adumah and for Yom Kippur? So Amar Rabbi Yuma bar Chelki, Amar Machsia bar Idi, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Amar Kros. So the pasuk says, "Kasher osa b'yom hazeh tziva Hashem lasis l'chaper aleichem." Right, as the way this is talking about, this is last week's parsha or 2 weeks ago. No, I don't know. We're talking about by the Miluim. Right, when the first time that they brought all the karbanos in the Beis Hamikdash, so Aaron HaKohen they had to also quarantine for a week. So it says there, Kasher also b'yom hazeh tziva Hashem lasis l'chaper aleichem. The way they did it then, you should also do it for kapara. Lasois elu masei para. So the word lasois in the pasuk is telling you that the same way they quarantined for a week before they inaugurated, I guess as they call it, they inaugurated the Mishkan. So too you have to quarantine for a week by the para. And lechaper, in the word kapara, elu masei Yom Kippurim. That's referring to that the kohen gadol has to quarantine before Yom Kippur. Fine. So then bishlama kule kra b'para lo misokim. Right. So we understand. So there's two words that we're dashing from this pasuk: lasois, right? Lasois and kapara. So Gemara is saying, who says you darshan one for one each word for a different subject? Maybe they're coming for the same subject. So it says bishlama kule kra b'para lo misokim. The whole pasuk can't be talking about para because lechaper ksiv, because it says for a kapara, para lav bas kapari. A para has nothing to do with kapara. Like we said, it's not a carbon. So a para has nothing to do with kapara. So the para can't fit into the word lechaper. So maybe the whole pasuk is talking about Yom Kippur. Now you're going to ask, well, why do I need two words to talk about Yom Kippur? That Tosfos asked that kasha. Why would you think you need two words? Okay, so Amri, so Gemara answer that again. The kasha is we have two words. We have lasois and lechaper. One we say is talking about for the para. One is talking about for the Yom Kippur. So Gemara is asking now, why do you need? Why do you say one word per subject? Maybe they're both coming to teach Yom Kippur. So Gemara says Amri Yalef Tziva Tziva. No. Because we're going to use a different pasuk because it says the word tziva commanded. It says over here that Hashem commanded them to do this. And it says by Parah Adumah, like this is what the laws of the Torah, the rule that Hashem said, that Hashem commanded, saying, Malahal and Parah, just there. What's it referring to? The tziva is referring to a Parah. So Afkan. Parah. So here too, it's also referring to Parah. Umakan Prisha, and just like here by the Miluim, they had to separate for 7 days. Aflahalon Prisha, so too, over there also you have to separate for 7 days. Okay, so now we say the word Tziva tells you. So now the Gemara says, Ve'ema Tziva di Yom Kippurim. But maybe Tziva is referring to Yom Kippur. Now, Ve'ema Tziva di Yom Kippurim. Maybe it's talking about the Tziva of Yom Kippur. Tichsiv vayas kasher Tziva Hashem as Moshe. And he did it like Hashem commanded, right? Aaron did as Hashem commanded Moshe. So you see there's a word tziva there. So then maybe the tziva in the pasuk's referring to Yom Kippur, and maybe only Yom Kippur the kohen has to separate, but not for the Parah Adumah. So we say done in tziva de lifnei asiyah, mitziva de lifnei asiyah. We learn out a tziva that was told to them to do it before. I mean, the word command was said before doing the action. And we don't don the word the tziva of after asiyah, mitziva de lifnei asiyah, from the tziva that's before the asiyah, right?
So
by the Parah Adumah, one second. By the Parah Adumah, tziva is written before, like tziva Hashem lies. This is what Hashem says to do, right? But by Yom Kippur, tziva was Hashem, and Aaron did what Hashem told Moshe to do. So the tziva comes after. So we're going to compare the tziva of before to tziva of before, as opposed to comparing the word tziva from before to tziva after. Yeah, what are you saying?
Is that what the Gemara means? Like I had a shallow what the Gemara meant when it came to why, if you're learning from Xer Shavah, we're not learning from Lasix. So, but now that we have the Lasix showing that it's a tziva, it's only a tziva of Neasiyah, that's why we need Lasix. Otherwise, what did the Gemara? If we have Xer Shavah, what do we need Lasix for?
No, because you need Lasix to tell you that you have to separate, but we don't know. Maybe Lasix is referring to Yom Kippur. So saying
why do you need
Lasix
at all? Why do you need Lasix at all?
Okay, why did Torah use the word Lasix? Why do you?
No, what you don't need it for that. You already have Xer Shavah. What do you need Lasix for?
Correct. So that's really Taisus. The bottom Taisus on Amud Aleph is really asking.
No, I'm asking that in the Maskana. And the Maskana that we learn it out from Xer Shavah. What do you need Lasix for?
And a Chanami, I think it doesn't work according to them. I mean that kasha.
No, so I'm saying that even in the Maskana that you do need Lasix, because otherwise you would not have Tziva Dilfnei Asiyah.
Right. I hear.
No, besides for that, you need it. How would you know without that? All you'd have is L'chaper, that's Yom Kippur. Right. You wouldn't know to do it. Why Otherwise, not? The pasuk would be saying, like they did for the Parah Adumah originally, so they should do in the future for Yom Kippur. You wouldn't know for the future Parah Adumah.
Right. I mean, you just think it's right. It's just for the Miluim. Right. I hear. Okay, let's see weiter. The aim tziva de carbonus. Now we know. Now we take a different. Maybe it means tziva for carbonus. Maybe every time you have to bring a carbon, you have to go into confinement for 7 days. Espinei Yisrael. On the day that he commanded Bnei Yisrael. That's referring to all carbonus. So the Gemara answers, done in tziva. Mitziva vein done in sivs. How do you call it? Tziva vein done in tzavaisai mitziva. We're gonna try to take the same word and darshan it. So tziva and tziva is the same. Tziva and tzavaisai is different pronunciations. So the Gemara says umay nafkamina. Right? It's a difference. If tziva means the same thing, right? V'atana dvei Rabbi Shmuel v'shava kayin uba kayin. That's this week's parsha by tzaras, the kohen comes and the kohen goes, and we use that as Xer Shavah. Zuhi Shiva, Zuhi Bia. The same halachas of going is the same halachas of coming. So you see that they make Xer Shavah for that. So our answer is that's the only you'll make Xer Shavah with words that aren't exact. That's if you don't have a choice, and meaning there's no other choice of the exact word. But if you have a choice of the exact word, then you're gonna go with the exact word as opposed to a word that's just similar. But let me just finish. But where there's one that's similar, you're gonna go with the one that's similar. Yeah, what are you saying?
But isn't it Masos for Xer Shavah? We're not supposed to make them on our own?
Yes, correct. Yeah. So that's a good kasha. So what I remember that we say with these things is that it's the Xer Shavah is out there. It's just we know that the Xer Shavah was made. We're just not exactly sure which way it went. Okay. So but we know that there was a Xer Shavah. The kasha is better than the teretz. But yeah, that's from what I remember. That's what they say. Fine. Okay. I think
that's a Taisus in Brachas, I think.
I don't remember where it was, but that's what
Taisus says that in Brachas. That Akash Baruch Hu told Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai all the halachas, It was his job to learn them out.
I hear. Right, so that's what I thought it was. I don't know if I thought it was the Taisus. I know it's floating around my head somewhere. Okay, very good. So lechaper elu masi Yom Kippurim. So he said lechaper is referring to Yom Kippur. Ve'em kapara de karbonis. Similar question that we asked before. Maybe it's referring to the kapara from regular karbonis. Who says it's referring to kapara of Yom Kippur? Right, every carbon is there for a kapara. So who says it's referring to kapara of Yom Kippur? Maybe it's kapara of karbonis. So the Gemara says a balabata should answer. The Gemara says, well, who knows, right? Who me yadinon hey kain misrami? Nobody knows, right? It was a raffle who to decide which kain is going to do the avodah, right? So how are you going to know which kain? What are you going to do? Put all of them into confinement for the whole month that they're the mishmar or whatever it was, the 2 weeks, right? You're not going to do that. So mi yadin and hey kain misrami devayle prisha. See, by the kain gadol, you know who's the chosen kain gadol. So you put him away. But how do you know which kain is going to get to do which karbanos? So Amri, the Gemara asks, Halam Aloi, why not?
If they
prisha lakuli mishmeres beis av. So the Gemara says, well, 1 second, put them away for 2 weeks, right? Well, not for 2 weeks. Let them separate for a week before. Why not? Do that, right? There was beis av. There was mishmeres beis av, right? There was 24 of them, right? And they did a week. Well, each one did a week, right? So let them all before you get your job. You go separate for a week. What's a big deal? So our answers, no. Donin davar shekavu loizman. So they're taking a different route now, different territories. We judge something that has a set time. Midavar shekavu loizman. Something that has a set time. Right? The miluim, when they made the first karbanos in the Mishkan, there was a set time to do it, and Yom Kippur is a set time. Lafuke karbanos the chol yoma is new. It comes to exclude karbanos that every day, right? That every day, it's every day. It's not a set time. So we're only going to learn out set time from set time. So Gemara says, okay, ve'ema regalim. So let's say Yom Tif. Yom Tif is a set time. So maybe whichever kohen is going to have to do the.
How's Yom Tif a set time? Yom Tif goes by the moon.
No, but we know whenever. So Yom Kippur the same thing. But we know on the 15th of the month.
Right.
Right. So then it's a set time. Right. We know when you're going to bring it.
Okay.
Right, so Yom Kippur also is based on when they decided Rosh Hashanah was, but it's a set time, right? So Gemara answers, so no, we're going to learn out something that happened once a year, Yom Kippur, from something that happened once a year, right? It was done once, meaning it was done once ever, but something that's done once from something that's done once. La fuge regalim, the lav pamachas b'shana. That's not once a year. It's a few times a year, right? So we can't learn it out. So anyway, it says ve'ema regal echad. So why don't we say one of the Yom Tovim? Maybe one of the Yom Tovim you need to separate the kohen for, not Yom Kippur. So you're going to say, oh, well, we don't know which one. If it's Pesach, Hayil, upasach by a cost of tchila, right? Maybe it's Pesach because the pasuk, that's the first Yom Tov that's discussed in the Torah. Chag HaSukkos, maybe it's Chag HaSukkos, Hayil Meruba Mitzvasai, right? Since Sukkos has many mitzvahs, right? Because it has Lulav and Esrog, Sukkah, etc. Ella, right? So we don't know which one. How do we know which one it's going to go with? So now the Gemara says, Ella, done in Prisha Shiva Liyayim Echad, Mi Prisha Shiva Liyayim Echad. Vein done in Prisha Shiva L'Shiva, Mi Prisha Shiva Liyayim Echad. Meaning, if you're going to do it for Yom Tif, you're going to have to separate. You're separating for something that's going to take 7 days, right? Pesach and Sukkot is 7 darshan. So we're going to rather darshan out the Miluim, which was a 1-day thing, to Yom Kippur, which is a 1-day thing, rather than darshaning out Miluim, which is a 1-day thing, to Yom Tif, which is a 7-day thing. Right? Fine. So then the Gemara says, okay, the Prisha Shiva Liyayim Echad. How about Shmini Atzeres? The Gemara leaves out the word Atzeres. What about Shmini Atzeres? That's a Yom Tov B'fnei Atzma, right? That it's a Prisha for 7 days. But it's only, you can do a Prisha for 7 days, it's only for 1 day. The Gemara is going to discuss Shavuos later. So the Gemara answers, Don and Davar Shein Kedusha Lefano. No, because we're only going to darshan something that has no Kedusha before it. Yom Kippur, there's no Kedusha on Erev Yom Kippur, right? And Miluim, there was no Kedusha before it. But Shmini Atzeres does have kedusha before, because Sukkot comes before Shmini Atzeres. So Don and Davar shein kedusha lefanov, mi Davar shein kedusha lefanov. We darshan will not judge. We're going to learn out something that has no kedusha before it, which is Yom Kippur, mi Davar shein kedusha lefanov, from the Miluim, which had no kedusha before it. Ve'ein Don and Davar sheyesh kedusha lefanov, but we don't learn out something that has kedusha in front of it, mi Davar shein kedusha lefanov, from something that doesn't. Right, so Shmini Atzeres has kedusha in front of it. Miluim did not. So Gemara says, "V'laf kal v'chaymeru." But why isn't it a kal v'chaymer? Hashta davar she'ein kedusha lefanav by prisha. If something has no kedusha in front of it, like the Miluim, or right, doesn't need. You don't need. You need to separate for 7 days, right? Meaning Yom Kippur. If you need to separate 7 days for something that doesn't have kedusha before it, davar sheyesh kedusha lefanav kol shekain. So something that does have kedusha, that's holier, right? If a Yom Tov has a kedusha before it, then that means it's a holier Yom Tov than a Yom Tov that doesn't have kedusha before it. So again, something that doesn't have kedusha in front of it you still need the kohen to separate. Something that has kedusha in front of it isn't that a kal v'chaymer. Some Rav Shashia, no, because it says in the pasuk hazeh. Right, hazeh ksiv. It says in the pasuk hazeh, which tells you kizeh. It has to be like this. I mean, it has to be exactly like the Miluim. And Shmini Atzeres is not like the Miluim because it doesn't fit the exact parah. It doesn't have it because it's not. It has a Yom Tov before it. Right? It has
Why
a Yom
doesn't Gemara here
One second.
answer?
1 second. Yom Kippur is exactly like the Miluim. There's no Yom Tov before it. It's a set time, etc., etc. So that's what the Gemara leaves off. Okay, we'll stop here. Tomorrow's stop and the next stop. It also is going to be a lot of psukim and a lot of drushes, just trying to pin it down. So hopefully we'll try and make it clear. All right, a good Nacht. Welcome back to everybody. Yuri Gross, good to see you again.
Hey, T-Ray, where are you right now?
I am in Lakewood.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. All right, Gershon, what do you want to say?
Why doesn't the Gemara here try a Balabatish answer? You're going to separate the kohen gadol from the Beis Hamikdash, from everything on the busiest days of the year, Sukkot? With Simchas Beis Sheva, everything else, you're going to separate him?
You're going to separate him?
I mean, presumably he's needed in the Beis Hamikdash.
Well, you get other kohen. We don't need the kohen gadol necessarily. You get any kohen. No?
I don't know. I mean, presumably his job was somewhat,
Okay, but you can always get another guy for that.
Yes, when there's no Kedusha, you get another guy. So before Yom Kippur, fine. On Sukkot, yeah, I mean, it's crazy in the Beis Hamikdash, presumably. Right. He's the one in charge. You need him.
I hear. I don't. Okay, I thought that you could just replace him with somebody else. Meaning the jobs will get done.
Right. I hear. The Samazay in general, wasn't there a Skan Kohen Gadol? Like they had 3 Kohenim Gedolim in general, didn't they? They had a Kohen Gadol who did the Avodah. They had a Kohen Gadol who was Meruba Begadim for the Milchama, whatever.
Right. You also had you had backups.
So why did they need to appoint another one here for Yom Kippur?
I think you just needed to make sure you separated one. Right? I mean, they couldn't do the Avodah, right? The Kohen Gadol couldn't do the Avodah then.
Right. So if you separate him, he already has one. Why do you need to appoint a new Skan Kohen Gadol?
Right.
Maskinen le Kohen Acher. He already had another one.
Right. No, I thought because he can't do the Avodah. So Mamela, you gotta.
So it means that his regular Skan Kohen Gadol, they needed to appoint him to do the Avodah of the Kohen Gadol.
I think so. Yeah.
All right, Yeshikayach, enjoy.
All right. A gute Nacht.
Good night.
All right, sag gesund.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Shkoyach.